welcome to Chamber Spotlight. I'm Lori Hansroth with the Berkeley Springs Morgan County Chamber of Commerce, and today we are joined by Kurt Griffith with Fantastic Reality Studio. Thanks so much for coming in today.
Oh, my pleasure.
So I understand that you have a small boutique graphics and web design firm.
Right, in fact, it's just me. I'll occasionally hire some outside technical assistance when it goes past my tech level, but that's not very often. I provide web and graphic design typically for small businesses and not-for-profits.
Perfect. Perfect. And when did you open in Berkeley Springs?
Okay, we pretty much reopened our doors September of 2014, about a month after we landed here in town. Mm-hmm. I'm originally from the New York City area, from Rockland County, New York. I grew up in Brooklyn.
So you actually started your design work in the Brooklyn area.
Yep, I was working out of a small place called Coney Island, which isn't what it was at post-Sandy. Then I was 10 years in Nanuet, which is in the northwestern suburbs of New York City. If you know where Westchester is, you cross the river, that's Rockland County.
Perfect, perfect. So you've been involved in graphic design for quite some time, lots of experience and background.
Yep, graduate of Pratt Institute, class of 1980, so I entered the field in 1980 BC, before computers. Went through a fair amount of change over the years. The industry is completely upended compared to what it was in the 80s and early 90s.
Oh, absolutely. I can remember doing some very basic design work, and we literally used the X-Acto knife and cut out the letters and glue them down. So you've probably seen some huge changes.
Huge changes. I don't miss the nicks and scars, however, but on the flip side, things have changed in interesting ways. The design work is much faster. It involves much less people. Typically, I work for a interfaith sanctuary about 20 miles from here up in PA, and I do their annual institutional calendar. It's just me, my contact at the sanctuary, and my contact at the printer. Wow. 20 years ago would have been me, 2 junior designers, 4 board guys, an outside type house, an outside color house, an outside pre-press house, a stack camera technician, a darkroom technician, and uncounted bicycle messengers and FedEx boxes.
Wow.
All those guys are out of the picture now.
Right.
So it's a different industry entirely.
Absolutely. Well, and I'm sure social media has played a huge part in how you've had to change how graphics are done and how you do promotions.
Okay. Absolutely. Starting with email for openers, that's been a primary source of contact. Email marketing has become probably the de facto method for most businesses to market. Direct mail is still out there, but it's relatively costly, and so it needs to be very targeted. But for the cost, for the cost of putting a dozen pieces in the mail, you can email to a mail list of 1,000. Or 10, or even 10,000.
Wow.
The upfront investment is not that large. Of course, and what that means is that your response, if a very small response through email marketing, is much more lucrative than 10 times the response in email marketing because of the small investment involved going in. Now we've gotten also in the area of being on Twitter and on Instagram and on Facebook and those places, which is much more complicated because it's much more difficult to manage. You could literally spend your entire day on social media and not actually do whatever it is your business does.
Absolutely. Oh, we've all gone down that rabbit hole. Well, the internet is such a powerful tool. But what I find fascinating is that allows you to have clients from all over the world.
Yeah. We were talking for the interview. I have a client that I'm working with that's in Malawi. That's in Malawi in West Africa. It's a English-style boarding school. It's supported by a not-for-profit here on the state side. But their website is being hosted by a stateside web company. But my counterpart is 8 hours ahead in Mzuzu. Oh, wow. Okay, and they have as sophisticated a web presence as Princeton. Basically, because of the internet, it's a huge leveler. But that creates another incident. If you go on the web, you have to make sure that people can find you. The classic mistake is leaving off enough information. My wife recently came across a fiber event that she's a fiber artist. That she would love to attend, but she has no idea where on earth it is. It says so-and-so fairgrounds. Well, that could be anywhere in the country. It could be in Oregon. It could be in North Virginia. She has
Right.
no idea.
So that's one of the
She-
things
she-
you've got to be very careful.
She would have to actually Google this fairground. She found 10 of them with the same name all over the country.
Wow.
And so she can't find this festival that she'd like to attend.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the things that people don't think about. You know, like everybody knows where Cook County Fairground is. Like, not if you don't live in Cook County. What if you're in England?
Absolutely.
That person has just the same access to your site as somebody, you know, across the street from you.
Right.
And people don't necessarily think about that.
Well, that's very true because, you know, if you sit down and you do a Google search, many times you pull up web presences from around the world.
Around the world. That's why they call it the World Wide Web. It literally is. It's exactly that. And so one of the things, about a third of what I end up doing is actually consulting, letting people know how things done and what the implications of them are. With digital tools, and particularly the leveling of the field, the freelance market is disappearing from the bottom up.
Okay.
Literally, you can open up Microsoft Word and make a perfectly decent business card or a flyer or a bumper sticker or a greeting card, or a letterhead, you know, without any professionals involved. My market essentially starts when people want to look better than that. And actually want to have some expertise behind it, or want to free up their time to go back to whatever it is they do and not spend hours tweaking around in Microsoft Word.
Right.
The difference is that market's perceived as free, but on the other hand, how much time are you wasting? Okay, and then it's like when you professionals like me come into play when people want to actually invest in their identity, in how they look and feel, in their marketing materials, and want to look better than the guy next to them who is just still messing around with Vistaprint.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's important to know. So that's a great way to bring up the challenges that you're faced with all the time is, you know, you've got free software showing up, things like PicMonkey, and that allow anybody to put a graphic together.
And, strictly speaking, anybody can go online. You can get a blog on Blogspot. You can get a WordPress site. Almost every web host gives you some sort of on-screen website composer, and there's Wix, and there's Squarespace, and all these things that people can just sign up for, and then. But do they know what they're doing? A website actually has three parts. It has information design, it has visual design, which is where most people get distracted by the shiny, and then there's also and then there's also content, where most people like, oh my God, what do I put? Like that's part of what I do is like you do have to write content about what you do. You know, you need to approach a website from not the owner's perspective, but from the users.
Right. Well, and I understand they change the analytics all the time, so that if you're not keeping up to date on, you know, what your keywords and all that type
Google
of
is a
thing
black
and
art,
content.
and I understand they do that on purpose and understand why. First off, they're trying to make it more effective for users, not for owners, okay, to find the information they want. But furthermore, they also are trying to keep people from gaming the system with silly or stupid or actually dangerous tricks. And so their algorithms for how they rank things are secret, so that people can't manipulate them unfairly. They want to try to keep web search organic, in other words. And what's interesting about that is that in terms of a search ranking, the more sites that point at you, the more attention you get from the net, the higher you'll rise.
Right.
If you're out there by yourself, no one will find you.
Right. So it's very easy for an amateur to put all these things together, but it takes an expert to know how to actually get them to all work together and make them work.
And also, there's a tale I tell about Disney's first approach to the web. Their first website was Disney Blast. It was a pay level site. You know, you had to subscribe to it, but it was very cyber. It was very neon green and brushed metal and Mickey in a robot suit. You know, and some of the kids thought it was cute. It was cool, but parents loathed it. Because it was not the Disney brand.
Right.
They're looking for the Magic Kingdom. They're looking for primary colors. They're looking for princesses and Donald Duck and Mickey and Goofy and Aladdin and Jasmine. You know, they're not looking for brushed metal and cyber green.
Right.
They're looking for the Magic Kingdom. Disney tore that site down, rebuilt it from scratch. Magic Kingdom online, still making money.
I want to thank you so much for coming in today. What you're sharing has been fascinating, and we are definitely going to have to talk about a chamber website. But I want to thank everybody for joining us today for Chamber Spotlight. You can watch this video and others at berkeleyspringscommunitymatters.com. I'm Lori Hansroth with the Berkeley Springs Morgan County Chamber of Commerce, reminding everyone to support our local businesses. Take care.